All right, hey guys, you know what? Let's just straight up be honest with you. Owning a 75 Bronco and a 2021 Ford Bronco First Edition, testing out and driving the 2024 Ford Bronco Raptor has been absolutely amazing. And so for YouTube, we're gonna cover off on what makes this thing truly one of the most hardcore off-road enthusiast-based Broncos to date. So let's get in, let's tackle what the 2024 Ford Bronco Raptor means to not just other off-road vehicles into the market, but what does it mean to the rest of the Ford Bronco family? So there's not a lot of news under the hood with the Ford Bronco Raptor. That's why we're starting with it first. You're gonna get that same 3-liter twin turbocharged V6, and it's gonna be pushing out 418 horsepower with 440 pounds-feet of torque. Just kidding. And that's because Ford Motor Company just announced at the Raptor Rally that you're now going to get a new software upgrade that's going to increase the horsepower on the Ranger, the Raptor Bronco, and the F-150 Raptor. So all three Raptor variants will get an upgrade to horsepower. So you're going to be looking at 455 horsepower under the hood with 536 pounds-feet of torque. That's a pretty significant upgrade from that 418. And what does that mean overall? It means you're going to get more enhanced performance out of the Ford Bronco Raptor. You're also going to see changes in how they use the transmission and how the mapping is laid out, and that software upgrade will do it. Although not confirmed 100% by Ford Motor Company, that upgrade is going to be somewhere around $800. So I can tell you right now, as a Ford F-150 Raptor owner, I will be getting that horsepower upgrade. Let's start with the front end of the Ford Bronco Raptor and talk about the width. So compared to a standard stock, and I use the word base Ford Bronco, that's not a Sasquatch with the 33s or 35s. We're talking about 9.8 inches of increased width on this bad boy. So remove this fender right here and look how much more width you're gonna get on this Ford Bronco Raptor. And then as you make your way around to the front, of course, you've got a modular bumper, and that's been here since the beginning. These cool elevated looking front toe tie-in areas for when you need to pull somebody out and you're out there off-roading. I found this out recently and I feel like a dork owning a Bronco that I didn't know. Bronco bolts right here on the front. So these are all Bronco bolts. This is where normally your cattle guard would go in, but your front guard would go in right here. Your bull guard, bull nose. And then of course the front, you got the Ford logo, traditional right up here on front. Love the way it looks. And then as you make your way all over the top, you got the LED lights. And as you start to make your way down the side, we'll get into the details over here. One thing that differentiates a standard Ford Bronco from a Ford Bronco Raptor, one thing that differentiates a Ford Ranger from a Ranger Raptor and F-150 Raptor from a regular 150 is right here. So they come with a different hood design, and you get this big air induction system or ventilation system here in the middle. It's going to be able to kick out, call that an exhaust port, but it'll kick out heat coming off the motor. So the air is going to come through, swirl around in there, and then it's going to kick out that hot air up and over the top of the Bronco. And you've got the Raptor logos on both sides here at the front. I want to point out the graphics package on this as well. I'm old, but I'm going to say it, it's freaking sick. I still love this. This graphic package is awesome. And when I first picked this media loaner up, I was like, nah, I don't know if I drive it. You know what? I'd freaking own this in a heartbeat. More people have complimented us on this look the past week driving it than any other Bronco I've seen on the road. And just lastly, as we all know, these are your tie downs right here. If you're gonna mount a kayak up on top or a canoe, you're gonna be able to tie down to the top up there. With only a couple 100 pounds on these, you'll be good to go. All right, so let's start with one of the biggest differentiation points with the Ford Bronco Raptor and a standard stock Ford Bronco, or frankly, any off-road vehicle for that matter, is that you get beadlock and beadlock capable wheels. The Ford Bronco Raptor will come with beadlocks. That's these right here. These are exclusive Ford patterned wheels. And then you've got the BFG. These are the all-terrain KOAs. And if you know anything about Ford and their Raptors, they all come with the KOAs that are fantastic tires for off-roading. I already mentioned this, the wide fender flare over here, but it looks fantastic. And of course, we've got the graphics package that comes down. And then that unique feature to all Ford Broncos is going to be your step-up bar right here. This step is going to have that Raptor name bolted inside of it. Kind of a fun little fact that you've now seen the new Ford Expedition that they recently launched. It'll be the first time the Ford Expedition will come in a Tremor package, and that Tremor package, they're gonna carry over the Raptor side steps into the Tremor. So we're starting to see that there is a cross-section of the buyers out there in the market that want not just a standard Expedition or standard Bronco, but they also can't afford the Raptor version. Now you got the Tremor that falls nicely between those. And a couple dead giveaway features of the Ford Bronco Raptor. Of course, your taillights are extended out. You've got the Raptor logo right here. Recovery hooks down here, but are you ready for your first Easter egg? Inside your gas tank. Look at that. Old Bronco right there, back to 1969. Then you got your next iteration of the Ford Bronco. Then they got a four-door Bronco right in here. Pretty cool that they give you these Easter eggs, really making you feel like as a customer, you kind of come one with your vehicle. Makes you fall in love with it a little bit more. And with all Ford Broncos, and what I love the most about my Bronco is the fact that I can take my front door off, I can take my second row door off, I can take my front top of my roof line off, I could take the second part of my roof line off, or I can take the whole thing off. And that's fantastic, right? So when you hit fall like we're in right now, I'll leave the hard top on and just pop these off if we get a nice warm day. If I want to be a little bit more aggressive, I can go to the second row, but I won't remove the last one because winter is coming. The Ford Bronco Raptor comes with Ford's well-known GOAT mode, which stands for Go Over Any Terrain. And there are 3 specific electronically controlled driving characteristics that I like to take advantage of. One is rock crawl, the other is off-road, but my favorite is the Baja mode. So to really take advantage of the Ford Bronco Raptor, you really have to put it in its element. Now, we're not actually out rock crawling, but we are on some backcountry roads, and that gives us a chance out here in the dirt to just see how the Ford Bronco Raptor feels. And in off-road mode, it's a little bit wet out today, so we're taking advantage of the four-wheel drive characteristics. We're kind of weaving our way through some trees in a wooded area, and you can feel, at a minimum, the suspension for the Ford Bronco Raptor. But I will tell you, in Baja mode, this thing is a ton of fun, and you can just whip it around. I mean, it really will take in the suspension, and you can feel it, and it gives you just such a great experience when you really want to get out and take advantage of the off-road features. So we all know that if you're going to buy a Bronco Raptor, and we're going to talk about all the great, GOAT modes and Baja, rock crawling, off-road features, we all know that realistically, you're going to be driving it on surface streets, on concrete jungle, the majority of the time of owning this vehicle, right? So probably 95% of the time, 98% of the time, you're going to be on normal surface streets, freeways like we're doing here, driving the Bronco Raptor. So let's not talk about GOAT mode, Baja mode, off-road mode. Let's talk about general mode or normal mode and the sport mode. So, and then we'll talk about the customized R setting. So the normal mode is exactly what you would expect. It's got relatively normal dampening of the shocks. The steering wheel input is neutral, and the throttle response is vanilla, meaning you can hammer it down if you want and it will take off. But for the most part, it's just a comfortable drive. When you go to sport mode, which is here with the GOAT mode, you drop it into sport, it now changes the dynamic mapping of the transmission. So instead of pushing way down on the throttle, it's just a little blip and it picks itself up quickly. It opens up the active exhaust on the rear, so it's gonna sound a little bit louder, especially when you hammer it down, and I'll give you a little hammer down sound right here. So if I hammer this down, you'll hear, not yet, now you'll hear the exhaust kind of crank up a little bit. And that's pretty cool. So you'll see suspension, you'll see exhaust, of course the mapping of the motor, and then steering wheel input as well gets a little bit tighter. So those are the 3 key features to sport mode. But what I like the most is actually the Raptor R mode. That's here on the steering wheel. And what's great about Raptor R mode is that you can customize how you want the vehicle to drive. So for example, I have this set up. When I double hit the R mode, it will actually take the vehicle, put it in 2-wheel drive, open up the exhaust of the Baja sound, reduce the steering wheel feel from sport back to normal, or even sometimes I put it in comfort just because it makes it a little bit smoother on driving. But you can customize it, so when you get in your vehicle, you just tap the R button twice, and it will go ahead and lock in those customized characteristics of how you want to drive your Bronco. The Ford Bronco Raptor is a true calling to hardcore enthusiasts. So if you want to get off-road, you're going to want to take the Ford Bronco because it will be able to tackle just about any off-road obstacle. The price is still right around $90,000, and if you want to get one, you're going to be hard-pressed to find one at dealerships and be ready to negotiate.